Good morning, everybody. It's COOLA from Rawstocks. We are back. What seems from a very long vacation, which was a good thing. But man, I'm rusty. I'm looking at my control panel over here. I'm looking at all of my recording equipment and saying, what is this? So, all right, coming back to virtually kind of what I was tweeting. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see that I talked about this is all a potential squeeze up towards all-time highs, and we are getting liftoff. So everybody's super bearish about the Iran bombings, everything like that, and what do you know? We popped to all-time highs. Well, let's dive into it. Why don't we? All right. Well, let's first and foremost, first day here. So let's do our due diligence. Let's cover the week on macros. But before we get into that, let's do a shout out to our sponsors, Black Box Stocks and Gamma Edge. Without those guys, we would not be able to provide this to you every single day. And want to do a big shout out to those guys. So help us support them and use the links in our bio or however you get this access. So let's break down this move that we're seeing. So, we always talk about daily for using it for distribution, everything like that, giving us an idea on the trend. Well, we saw a breakdown of that trend right here on 6/13, right? First real day of closing below that. Showed some weakness. We saw an attempt. Then we saw a continuation of a resistance on that daily 4. We saw that get supported by our daily 20 here into this range, and ultimately got a good close over it on Monday. And then we got the continuation yesterday on Tuesday for a pop over the top of the highs here. And now, what are we aiming for? What are we looking for? Where are we headed? So let's talk about it. First and foremost, let's take a look at our macros here. We can tell that on our macros here, tomorrow we have, well, today, let's just go over this. Today we have JP talking at 9 o'clock. He's going to testify. Not super big on this being some type of movement, but just know there'll be some potential volatility there. Also drops with new home sales. So if you're watching things like XHB or which is an ETF of home builders, or if you're playing actual home builders, keep an eye on that. That'll also impact potentially the yield, 30-year, 10-year. So keep an eye on that. And then, of course, crude oils right now, I mean, it's definitely a player, but not anything crazy by any means. So looking at Thursday, we have final GDP. This is going to be a huge one, y'all. This is going to be a huge one. And I need you to understand, this thing is forecasted for a negative 0.2 contraction on the GDP here. So previous one was at 3.1%. Okay, 3.1. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, 3.1%. And now we're sitting here looking at negative 2% here on the final GDP. Not a preliminary GDP number, a quarterly final GDP print at negative GDP. And we're going towards all-time highs. I mean, there is some serious fuckery going on, right? So, just taking a look at this here. Taking a look at this here. This is a potential way to trap everybody. Unemployment claims durable goods orders, good trade balance. There's a lot going on here that's unpacked before the market. So we're going to take a look at the data, kind of assume what we're going to see that will possibly happen off of that off of that data tomorrow. And then we have core PCE on Friday, personal income spending. This is my favorite right here. But this gives us insight usually on this, okay? So when we already have this is not huge. It is something, but it's not huge. All right, so that's it for the macros. Let's take a look at the data. I know we all love the data. Let's pull this over thanks to Gamma Edge here. Let's take a look at SPX here. Okay, so this is the full complex here. We can see that we have a 6100 supply and a 6055 demand. Okay, so there's a draw between 6100 and 6055. That is our main one here. Now, do we have things growing outside of that? Absolutely. 6120 and 6200 all starting to grow. So will this, we already started seeing 6100 grow. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. We're starting to see this potential expansion. We're still very much call dominated in our gamma condition, so everything leads towards upwards. And until we see that change, we don't really fight it, right? We don't really fight it. We just know that that's the route we're going. And let me finish this text real quick. We know that's the route we're going. We're gonna play that bias. So let's look at today and see what we're looking at. 6120 and 6055. This is a total of 344. We're call dominated. So again, this is something. Let's take a look at our day trading chart. And see how this matches up. Okay. So 6120 here. To 6055. Let's mark this out. Options range here. Okay, 6120 to 6055. And we're call dominated here, and we're opening up near, right now, at least last I looked, right up near this 6101 area. So yes, still bullish up towards that 6120 area. This is really going to bring you over that 610 mark on SPY. And we're going to see a nice little probably push off of that. And if my guess is that we'll probably see, let's take a look at the transitional areas. Transitional areas at 6075. So 6075, this is where you're bullish. You remain bullish over the top of this here. So retesting back into this volume framework here. This would be any type of buy signal. So like you're looking to buy down here, you're looking to buy down here. Okay. But the chances are we're not going to see this move. We're likely going to see probably a potential move up towards that 6120 first. And at this point, this is where you can start to look at some type of, short-term short potentially. 6100 is your key level. So you need to be cautious of that over 6100, it could bring the likes of 6200 right up here. Okay. So when you're playing this, your mindset needs to be that we're in this playing field. Short here, profit taking here, break below this, probably going to see some type of runner towards 6075. 6075 or down to 6055. Okay. But you were, based on what we're seeing, you're seeing a buy the dip situation. 60.75, 60.55 are your areas of support, and you want to see those hold. If it pops underneath, so be it. Look to get long again over the top of that, but you don't want to see that get underneath our range here, right? So staying at 6120. So my best guess is that if we get that push up towards this range today, we're going to do one of two things. We're going to get here and we're just going to kind of chop, and maybe we even come and make some type of lower move, retest, lower move, and start to make some type of bull flag in this little area here. That's just my guess. Okay. And which would see this likely return fall and maybe get another move like that up towards 6120. But that's just my guess at this point. So watch your area at 60.75, the transitional area. Watch this to be resistance here today, and we'll see if this wants to get continuation over the top of 6120 for some type of move up towards that 6200 level. But that's not going to happen today, not in my opinion. I think that if best case scenario, we just kind of chop at 6120. Let's take a look real quick on how we did here. This is the trend box. Look at that accuracy. Brought it right into the VIX implied. That's so funny. So containment levels here on trend box over the last week or week and a half that I've been gone. You can see, look at the containment here. Okay, very, very strong in regards to the containment. You can see that I even brought it down, sell down right back towards that VIX containment level. So interesting to see that, right? But it is what it is. That's how this works. And we're super bullish, right? But today, where does that put us? 61-20. It's gonna have us outside this range based on our close, if I had to guess. Let's take a look at VIX real quick. 1711, so 1% is kind of what we're looking at right here. Whoa. Here we go. Let's go with this one, not the try box. So 1% off of this level here, and we're virtually looking at 6150. 6150 is what VIX implied close potential, but we see 6120 as a potential high. So we're going to see kind of how that reacts there. That 6120 gamma level is different from our VIX implied ceiling, and so when we see that, it gets a little shaky. But if we do see that move over 6120, I would be eyeing that 6150 area as a potential daily target. But truth be told, probably going to see some type of move up to 6120, and then maybe we get some type of close inside yesterday's range here. That's going to be my guess. Okay, so let's look for confluence on SPY here. 610, 615 is growing, but 610 is dominant right now. But you can see 615 is not far behind it on full complex, and 620 is definitely growing. Let's look at the daily level here, and you can see 607 to 605. So when we see a range like this, I talk about this often. 607 to 605. So this is kind of where I was talking about, right? So SPY is a little bit different than this, but what we do see is positive. The transitional area, which was right here in this volume breakout right here, right, is in line with this. So your 605 area that we saw in SPX, right? So this was a positive transitional area. You can see that the floor is there on SPY. So this gives you more confluence to come in near that 605 area as a potential floor buy-in zone to see if it wants to retest back up in towards that 607, back up towards that 6100 area. Okay. So 6120 area even. So keep an eye on that as a potential buy zone. If we do start slipping under 607, we might see that get that continuation, and that's your area of target right there in 605. But right now we're over the top of our box here, so this is going to move very fluid over the top of that. So watch for a potential move down towards that 607 area and see if it wants to maintain that. If we maintain over this area, we're very bullish up towards that 6120 area, which is likely towards that 610 move, or a little bit even more higher than that, right? Closer to that 611050 area up in this area here. So watch for that potential sell down. We'll see a move there. If not, watch for the support down in this area. 605 is a 100%. 100. That percentage is a 100% buy area, and you're looking to maintain 605. All right. All right. Let's take a look at Tesla real quick. Got to get moving. This is one of my favorite things to see, right? Big sell down, big volume support shelf here. And then it's like, what do we do here, right? This is a containment area. Are we going to break out to the upside? Are we going to fall down, break back over the top of it? This is my strongest move, right? I love that move there. Is that we throw the fake, right? This is, looks like starting to look like a Madden play, right? The X's and O's. But you throw the fake down here, the 38 sweep here, right? Or 38 reverse sweep, boom. My football guys will know that. Yeah, this right here is one of my favorite plays. Watch for a fake out. But let's take a look at the data, see if that helps us see where that fake out can be. And what a move by Tesla, by the way. What a move. The robo-taxi drops. We see this thing get that expansion out of that consolidation range that we had queued up, right? So this was obviously done. I haven't been trading for a week and a half, and you can see that I had this marked as a consolidation range, and we consolidated in it and got the push up into my resistance zone. So reading the future, y'all. Reading the future, and saw this all kind of drop out from here. So talked about it coming into that daily 200. Didn't quite get there, but it got damn close. And then we saw that thing press up towards that 360 resistance mark. And now we're kind of holding. So where do we go from here? Well, let's take a look. Okay, this is full complex here. 350 supply, 320 demand here. So we can tell that 350 is a pretty good size wall here. But there are some relative targets to talk about, like 360, like 370, 380 is growing even stronger. Okay, and then even 400 on full complex. And you're starting to see some really, really high net delta up in this range here. Now, this is probably, if I had to guess, because this is sizable, okay? This is very sizable. I mean, even all the way up to 960. This is still super positive. It's crazy, but it's, I'm going to assume that that is far out. Far out. That 960 support there, I'm going to assume that, I mean, just to start kind of taking a look at this, that we see quite a bit of it start to get out. 5% of the pie here starts going pushing out to a year out from here. So it just gets a little bit longer from there and longer from there. But this is a pretty substantial play all the way up to 960 here. So people are looking at this as a potential continuation. That's clearly what that means. And they're super excited about it, and that's great. I think it's insane. I would never play that. Never. 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 Okay. So, what are we looking at this week? 350 supply, 320 demand. Let's take a look at the data here. Or let's take a look at the day trading chart. Let's queue it up. 350, 320. This is our range for the week here. Dial it in. Options range. So for me, this is pretty clear. Your transitional area is at 335 here. So that brings us right to about where we're thinking, 336, 335. So if you start seeing a break below 335, it means we're starting to get into some bearish territory, right? Starting to flip into that, maybe draw back down into that 320 area. But realistically, they're going to use 335 as support here based on that gamma flip. So watch the 335, 330 area, 332 and a half area to be some support here. For a potential move up towards 350. Keep in mind you're in the middle of the range. It's not how we like to play things, right? But if you do see some like move down here and you see support shown, then by all means, play your risk versus reward there. There's no sense, there's no problem with that. I talk about that often. There's really, oh boy, what I hit. There's no problem with looking at this area here and saying, okay, we're seeing support off of this range here in playing some type of, say, long, and you're looking to hold, say, 335 into that 331 and a half area, which gives us that 332 and a half support, right? And playing some type of risk versus reward here. This is pretty good risk versus reward here, right? So 4.5 RVR, it's nice. So there's nothing wrong with that, but you do have to create some type of plan and go based on that. So containment for me here is at 350. If we do start to see a move over the top of 350 here, then watch for some type of move up towards that 380 mark and an expansion up towards 400. That would bring us back up in towards into this gap fill here. So the way Tesla always works with so many retail traders, I imagine when this gap fill is closed, you'll see a decent sell up towards that 400 or some type of consolidation. But the true level based on just previous pricing, you can see just on trading here that there's a strong pivot right here up to that 415 to 425 area. So that would be your next area for me that you need to be watching right there. If we got some type of relative move over the top of 350 and targeted 380 and over the top of 380, this is your move. I don't think it'll stop at 400 is what I'm trying to tell you. This thing will continue to move up towards this pivot point. This data will change, and I think we'll probably target up in towards this pivot zone and see what happens. So will we see that expansion, or will we get stuck in our zone here, our 350 zone? Well, as of right now, my best guess is that we consolidate at 350, kind of like I'm talking about on SBX. We get up to 6120 and we kind of consolidate. I think that's what today's going to look like. So is it a great day to trade based on where we're opening? Not really. You're looking to get in here, you're looking to get up to this range, and you can look to short. We'll have to kind of see where that looks. The best thing would be the short near 350, but based on everything that we're seeing, I'm not so sure I would want to play that. I'm looking more for the long here and more for the long down here, looking for that support, showing back or getting a retest up towards this range. Remember, GDP tomorrow, negative. We'll see how negative it is. If it's not negative and it's positive, okay, because it was just under into a negative GDP. If it's still a positive GDP, I think that really can do a couple different things for us. And we'll see if it wants to do that initial run, and then I think we could get sold off. So we'll talk about that in tomorrow's episode. But let's move on to NVIDIA here. So pretty strong move. We talked about this clearly. The previous zone here had cracked into this week. Got some pressure into that resistance zone, cracked the top of that, sold down, and then we saw the expansion over the top of that previous zone. So let's see where we're at now. Full complex here, 150 supply, 142 demand. So you can see a humongous 150 call wall here. Okay. I do not see it getting over the top a 150. If it does, this thing's gonna go bananas. Okay. You're short on NVIDIA. You're short on NVIDIA at 150 right here. This week, you're seeing 155 start to come into play. We'll see if that tightens up and we see 150 become a band between 150 and 142. Okay, so let's delete this here. Let's delete this here. Let's come up to 150 to 142. That's down here. Okay, creating this type of range here. I do not see this getting over the top of 150. Not saying that this is a balls to the wall play here, because this is a tremendous amount of positive net gex here. This is huge. But I'm telling you, if it gets over 150, this thing will move in lightning speed. Lightning speed. So keep an eye on that, okay? Keep an eye on that. We're seeing 155, 160, 165 start to kind of come in on our full complex. But look at the difference here in the net gex. I mean, people were really bullish here, but you're going to see some major profit taking into this. And this kind of brings me into, when I see a big player like this in our Mag 7, how does that impact my daily idea of what would happen? So if NVIDIA sells off, okay, that puts us more so in that potential 607 to 605 retest on SPY, in my opinion. But that is a substantial call wall, and it's going to be respected. And if it gets over the top of that, then I highly assume that we're going to get some type of level of gamma squeeze into that 155 to 160 area. So you're long over the top of 150, but I would probably do that the second time we get over 150 and not the first time. Okay. What do I mean by that? If we're opening near here, so we push over the top of this, we get pulled back down, and then we'll see if we slip 150, which is probably the most likely thing that happens here, that we see it push over 150, and then we see it drag it back down towards some type of support area, which would be at a transitional area at 144 to 143 is what we have. Yeah, same thing. 144 to 143 down in this range, right? This would be your transitional area if we struggle here at 150. If we get over the top of it, right? Let's say we move over the top of 150, we get into that weekly kind of staircase 152 area. At that point, you need to be watching, right? 152.5 area. It's like, should we go up to 155 or not? Watch for that area to be a potential pullback zone if we get held up there and pull this back to 150. At that point, if we see support given again, that's where you're looking to say, all right, let's try the 160 expansion play and see if we can do it. That would be considered some type of lotto because you're buying at the top of the range. Anytime you're buying at the top of the range, you have to consider it a lotto. You have to position size it that type of way. You do not get heavy on the top of a range. Now, if this does get the expansion at that point, that would be fantastic up towards 160. But if we hold 150 or we chop at 150, that position is really going to be looking nasty for you if you just kind of sit here at 150, right? And you're like, I'm just going to get in one and see what happens. Nah, don't do that. You want to see the tap and go, right? So he pushes up, comes back, hits 150, and then jets back up. You're looking to buy on that second visit and not let this thing even remotely get under 150. I would not do that because if it starts sliding here, that's where they're going to trap you. Okay, so stay away from that. But nice expansion on NVIDIA. Let's go to our day trading chart here. Nice expansion in 150. But right here, we had this kind of queued up. This is the resistance zone, right? Multiple times that we came up into this range and we've seen it sold on. This is a high level of gamma support, and people were dealers will look to hold this. Dealers will look to hold this. It's multiple times right here, this 149.35 area. You can see key level closes, opens, touch and goes. 149.35. So will we sell down from here? Will we break over the top of this? If we break over the top of this, I said 152.5, but I would watch the gap close 153.18 at that point. And at that point, if we get over top of that, 155 is your mark, and we're probably getting the expansion to 160. Okay. Bullish on our trend, right? Daily 4 here. Distribution to the upside. Follow that daily 4. 145 is support here. So you have the gap close at 144.19. So that's a little bit below, a little bit lower in our range here, but not to the lowest we could go. But that only deals with closes, doesn't deal with anything else. It's only closes. So is this part of a distribution side to the upside towards 160? Well, we'll have to find out and see. Okay, but this is where we use our daily 4, and we'll see if this thing wants to get that continuation over the top of that, or we'll see it sold. But like I said, best play right now is short under 150, looking for the confirmation towards that 145 to 140, 143 area, right? After that, probably could go real bullish on you. But that's what you'd be looking for, revisit into this 145 to 143 range before looking to go long on this again, and look for it to retest into that 150 zone. Okay. All right. Hopefully this was helpful. A lot of information today as I've been gone, and a little bit of a recap session. So this one ran a little bit longer. So I appreciate you guys hanging out in here with the Discord with me. And if you guys are not a member of our Discord, I highly suggest joining our Discord. Highly suggest it. Yep, you're welcome, Westy. Highly suggest it. This actually is released to all of our members, paid, not paid, on our Discord. Okay, so join the Discord. That is discord.gg rawstocks. You can join it that way or visit the website at rawstocksllc.com. If you want access to all of our analysts, all of our trades, all of our educational pieces and what we do, then you join our premium. Join it. Use code MERGE, 50% off. Come take a look at it. And I think you'll enjoy it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you subscribe, turn on your notifications, and until next time, we'll catch you later.